Welcome everybody to PinstripeChronicles podcast. I am Tats. I am solo at the moment. My guest co-host will be here in a few minutes. We will be breaking down last night's game with the Red Sox and the Yankees and what was just a wild game. A lot of little back and forth going on. And my co-host is hopping on right now. But it was just one of those nights. We're going to be breaking down everything that was going on with Garrett Cole and then Rafael Devers. Donaldson and Hicks homering back-to-back nights. Donaldson with the grand slam, and the way the bullpen was just able to shut everything down. So once we get everything situated, we will be getting into that. And it really was an exciting game. I'm really excited for our new audience to be introduced to my friend Scott, who on Twitter is known as Before the Pitch. He's been a guest on our show in the past, and he's just a phenomenal baseball insight. So it was just one of the things. Another thing that we might bring up today, if time allots, is the fact of what's going on with Rizzo and Judge, and is it really anything of a concern? So there's going to be a lot that we're going to be able to break down for everybody today. Happy Friday. You are watching us live on Facebook on Northeast Streaming Sports. We are also streaming live on our YouTube channel. So drop in the comments. Let us know what you think about it. If you have anything to say during the discussion, anything you want us to talk about, and we will get everything going as soon as we see those comments. We will be responding. So we really want to get a lot of our fan interactions starting to build up as the content grows and as we grow on Northeast Streaming Sports, which you could also watch a lot of content on their live streams on Facebook, on Roku. It's 24 hours of sports. It's amazing. You guys will definitely, it's got sports for everybody: football, baseball, boxing, a lot of content. So it's definitely a app on your Roku TVs that you want to definitely download. So we might have just a minute or so of a little dead air of the discussion. I don't want to just ramble, but I really did enjoy the game. I thought it was a hard-fought game. It was something that we expect when it comes to Yankees Red Sox. The one thing that we did not get were the 4-hour battles. It was a pretty time-efficient game. And Scott, are you having an issue?
Yeah, can you guys see me?
Like, we can't see you, but we can hear you.
That is weird, and I don't know why, because everything says my camera should be working. And this is a brand new iPad, and this is my first Apple product. I've been an Android guy for my whole life. So I don't know what's going on, but thank you for the compliments.
Well, in the meantime, what did you think of the game overall?
Okay, so I really love the hot start that we got out to, and which was awesome. Garrett Cole pitched well against everybody not named Rafael Devers.
Yeah.
Rafael Devers is always in the way. Every AL East team has someone who is always a thorn in our side.
It is true.
The Blue Jays it was always Randall Grichuk. For the what's it called? For the Orioles, it was Trey Mancini. God bless the guy. And then for the Red Sox, it's just always Rafael Devers. It's always him. Ever notice that? And it drives me absolutely nuts. Now, the good thing is besides him, we shut down the whole Red Sox lineup, which is a good thing. And that's important. And I think people are underestimating the Red Sox because we have such a massive monstrosity lead over them. I don't think people realize how super hot that they've been playing, at least the past month. They've actually been playing extraordinarily well. So in many ways, this was a big challenge for the Yankees because it's putting up against what I think will ultimately wind up being the second place team in the AL East. I do not think Toronto is going to wind up getting ahead of them. But that's an important challenge to face. Like, this is a hot team, and we were just coming off of a weird couple days for the Yankees. But that was important for us to establish that we can shut down a lineup that has been pretty hot, and particularly extend the lead that we've had in the division. That's the most important thing to me.
Yeah, no, it's really becoming a divisional race at this point between, like you said, between Boston and Toronto on who's going to be that second team in the division to grab a wild card spot. So it's really between them and the adjustments that they're going to make with the trade deadline at the end of the month. So it's going to be interesting to see what those two teams really do to improve. Because I think we're at that point, being that, with the All-Star break coming up, the lead we have in the division, I think at this point, and I said it a couple days ago when we had Spencer on, it's almost like, okay, we have this, we have the East taken care of. Now it's okay. Now the next goal, the next hill to climb is to maintain having the best record. Because I think in the playoffs, especially with the new format, I think home field advantage is going to be a factor. So, but that's really getting a way ahead of ourselves. But to stay focused with last night, the other thing that was really enjoyable to watch was this bullpen of ours that can just shut down that, it looked like all the momentum was going to Boston after we put up the 5 runs. And once the bullpen came in, that was Boston almost never had a chance.
Yeah, and the person who always makes me nervous in that bullpen, but shouldn't, is Wandy Peralta. Here's the thing: he's really good. He's a good reliever, and you forget how good he is. So in my I'm looking at my TV now. I'm looking for Michael King over the bullpen. They got Wandy Peralta, and I'm sitting there like, oh my gosh, no, please not Wandy. Like, I know he could be good, but he just makes me nervous for some reason. And they just shuts them down 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
and it's like that's the reason why I'm the guy sitting at home on my couch and I'm not the one running the game. But damn, everyone just. Everyone knows what their job is, and everybody's doing their job, and that's important. It's like a symphony. Everybody is doing their contribution, and that's important. It does not feel like there's any one person carrying the whole thing. Like we did not have Judge or Rizzo last night, and we still were able to put up a win against what I believe is a pretty darn good team, and that's important.
It almost looked like a punt lineup.
Exactly. It's just such a weird lineup. I remember hearing it on a Michael K show when I was listening to it at work in the afternoon, and they're like, no Judge, and again, I expected no Rizzo, but no Judge. Yeah. Obviously, all the bells and alarms start going off in everybody's head, but it's like, no, we were totally fine. It's like everyone's contributing, and that's important. It's what I've said since the past forever. What's going to win the World Series is a well-balanced breakfast and a well-balanced lineup. A lineup that can score and attack with multiple people in multiple ways against multiple kinds of opponents. And the Yankees can do that. They absolutely can do that. And it's different than in past years, where in past years we were looking at our team and we're saying we're capable of doing it, but we're just not for some reason. This year, we're straight up doing it. And it's almost jarring. It shouldn't be, but it is.
Yeah. No, it's just been a season that everything, as great as everything looks and as much fun as the players are having, the fans are having, it's just still very surreal.
Yeah, so here's the thing. If this pace keeps up, this will be, and I'm kind of aging myself a little bit, this will be the greatest Yankee team of my lifetime if this record keeps up. And yeah. I do not count 1998 as my lifetime because I was 4 and I wasn't really like
okay.
Yeah, that doesn't count. So I should rephrase that and say like, my conscious baseball watching lifetime. I think I started watching in 2003 or 2004 is when I was at the age where I could actually sit down and watch it. And know what the heck is going on. Like even though obviously the Yankees won 5 World Series in my lifetime, I've only really been able to comprehend one of them because I'm of that weird age where all the stuff was on when I was still in diapers. But this is exciting for me. This is exciting for me. This is extraordinarily exciting for me. It's like, oh wow, this is the thing that I had been hearing about my whole life. This is the thing that older Yankee fans are telling me what to expect. This is the thing I've been hearing about on Yankeeography my entire life. It's finally here. I get it. This is my first experience actually dominating in the way that they have in the past. It's exciting for me. I think it's also exciting for people who are my age.
This is as close to 98 as we've ever had. And and that's adding to the excitement because you get in the comparisons and you really can't compare. I don't like to compare eras because, even as not that 98 was that far ago, but in sports years, that's like a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
And the game is played a lot different. The strategies are different. But what you're seeing with the one comparison that I do enjoy is you're seeing a little bit of the you got the pitching, you have the power, but you also have the role players. And they've been able to, we've had guys that we weren't sure what we were going to get, and they have really just stepped up and been key contributors to this team, especially with the catching position. Nobody was jumping up and down, jumping for joy with Trevino. And look what he's been able to do behind the plate with the pitching staff. So you're seeing a lot of different roles. They're playing small ball too. You're seeing the hit and runs. You're seeing stolen bases, aggressiveness on the base paths. And it's just that's so important because you can't just sit back and wait for that home run. Sometimes you have to make something else happen. And this roster seems to understand that and be able to execute that.
I agree. I agree with that entirely, and I believe that is what makes us successful. And a lot of I'm going to slightly sidetrack, but I promise has what to do with what you're saying is we are both, you and I, a part of that population where of baseball fans where we're saying we want more base hits, less home runs. We're both a part of that. I think people misunderstand what that actually means, and I think it's partially the fault of the population that we're in for not relaying the message super well. We're not saying we don't like home runs. What we're saying is if we are dependent on home runs, if you're a one-trick pony, then it's easy to defeat you because there's only one way out. What we like to see is the ability to get a base hit, the ability to poke something through a hole if you need to, the ability to hit it up the line, the ability to do different things at different times to increase your chances of being effective and being productive on the offense. Not that we don't like home runs. We just understand that there needs to be more ways to win besides just a home run. A home run is a tool. It's not a crutch. This Yankee team, better than other Yankee teams of recent past, understands that probably the best. And I think Cashman really understood that too. Like guys like IKF, the guy's not going to hit a lot of home runs. I don't even know if he's hit any yet.
No, he hasn't. He hasn't. No, it was that's what's strange. And another thing that we talked about on a previous show is he hasn't even hit into one accidentally. You would think at one point with all the contact he makes, something would have gone off the sweet spot of the bat. It just hasn't happened. He doesn't have that type of power. But that's fine because he's contributing in a way that's within his game. He's not trying to be somebody he's not.
Exactly. And I think he's very self-aware of who he is. And I think that's really important because if you try to do more than what you can do, if you try to be what you're not, they're not going to be successful at that thing. Here's the thing. I'm not saying Isaiah Kiner-Falefa is the best shortstop in baseball. I'm not saying that that's Derek Jeter. I'm not saying he's the best hitter in baseball. What I am saying is he contributes. And every once in a while, it's a very timely contribution. I do not understand the hate that IKF is getting on Twitter. I think people are still saying we should have gotten Carlos Correa, which have you seen him play? No one has, because the dude's been out half the whole year. So it's just the IKF was just a good bang for your buck, and it's working. Yeah, that's the best way I could put it. And he wants to be here. He and Trevino, like who would have thought? He and Jose Trevino were like grew up Yankee fans, and both these two were like dying to eventually play here at one point. Hey, good Lord, are they both seizing the moment while they could?
No, it's just it really is like I said, not to keep repeating myself. It's the role players. We don't need an all-star in every position. We need players in each position that understand their role and can execute their role. They're going to have hiccups. They're going to have issues. That's fine. That's part of the human element of sports. The worst pitcher in the league is going to have a good game. The best pitcher in the league is going to have a bad game. That's just the nature of it. It's strange when we see it. It's so rare that we can't comprehend that it could happen, but it happens.
That's phenomenal wording, by the way. I love the way you word that. You don't need an all-star. You just need everyone knows their roles. That's a really wonderful way to word that. And it's important to for them to understand when to pick up for each other when each other is down. Here's the thing. I cannot say yesterday is a down day for Garrett Cole. There's literally only one guy who did damage against him. So that one dude just had a good day. But the rest of the team understood we cannot waste this opportunity. We cannot waste this guy's outing. We have to make something of it. So it takes a whole. It takes the whole. It can't just be one person. And I'm glad to see the Yankees are not relying on one person. Almost every night, there's a different key player, there's a different hero. Even Joey Gallo hopefully is starting to do something and come around. We're hoping for it. But here's what I love about the bunt he tried pulling last night. It's exactly what you said. It's knowing the role. It's a self-awareness out of him. Like, what I'm doing is not working. I need to try something else. Even if that something else doesn't work, I just need to try something else. There's a self-awareness about that I appreciate that. And I hope something comes of it.
No, you are starting to see that his at-bats are reverting back to when he first came over to the team, where he was showing you the patient at-bats, grinding out, fouling off tough pitches, might not always get the results that, that he or us as the fans want. He's not going to hit a home run every time. He's not going to get a walk. He's going to strike out. That's just the player he is. But I think you're starting to see a little more patience with him at the plate, and not, he goes, look, I can't swing my way out of a slump. Let me go back to what was working for me. Let me try just being a little more patient, trying to, not so much guesswork. What pitches are working against my other teammates? What, how is his slider? How's the pitcher's slider moving? How's the splitter working? Where's the velocity on his fastball? And trying to adjust his bats like that. So there's really, I think Gallo, just and also with Hicks and Donaldson, that was that three-headed monster that was killing us in the lineup. And you're seeing that patience come back for them. It was amazing to see, Donaldson and Hicks in back-to-back games going back-to-back.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm like, that, I thought that was more exciting than the result.
Yeah, because it felt like we were waiting for it. It felt like it was worth it to them. It almost feels like taking a weight off their shoulders. It especially looked like both of them looked like that weight was taken off their shoulders, even though for Hicks, actually, that weight came off sooner. For Hicks, that weight came off game 1 against the Astros. Yeah. And I feel like Hicks has just felt better about himself since then, and we're starting to see those results. Josh Donaldson, I've been saying like all year, it's like his defense was totally worth trading for, but his offense is not worth the money. So you kind of got to hope both of them work. And here's the other weird thing. We've had those three as holes in the lineups pretty much all year. Like neither one of those three has been consistently really, really good, even though each of them has had like a moment or two. And we're still the best record in baseball. And people keep talking about the trade deadline coming up and what crazy moves we have to make. And then you almost want, it's like, why do you need to? Like, why are we messing with the mojo? It's working. It's working. It's like, I'm not convinced yet that there should be a super big overhaul of the trade deadline like a lot of people are recommending.
No, I don't think so. And I think where Cashman has to be cautious. I don't want to say careful, because he's usually at the trade deadline is when he shines the brightest, and he's made some really good moves that have helped. What he needs to be cautious of is if he is going to bring in another player. Who are you having that player replace?
Yeah.
And what chemistry are you replacing? So I think that's something where, not that I'm calling for Cashman to just keep everything status quo and there are no issues at all. There are still things that we need to improve on. I don't think there's necessarily that quote unquote hole in the roster, but there are positions and places that can can have improvement. So I think that's where it's going to get a little tricky. I want to get back to last night's game, and the fact that we were able to have our bullpen shut them down. What have you seen the most, with last night and in the last couple of months, since Chapman's been out, with the combination of King and Holmes? What do you think has been the reason that it has clicked?
I think the easy answer is going to be Matt Blake. That dude just worked wonders. I don't know what he did. I don't know how he did it, but it seems like since he got here, pitching just got better. It's funny because we keep saying for years, like, oh, why don't the Yankees develop the pitching? Why don't Yankees develop pitching? And they keep holding on to these pitchers who get to the majors and do like okay, but not fabulous. And we all sit here scratching our heads and we're like, why are we still holding on to some of these people who keep going up and down for so many years? And it's like now, like it finally gets like, oh, we have been drafting really good pitchers this whole time. We have been raising really good pitchers. It's just a matter of who is going to help them with that transition to get to be all that they can be when they get to the majors. And clearly Matt Blake has been so far the guy who's been doing that. I have no other explanation because there's no other common denominator between all these people coming up and just doing wonderful. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know how he's doing it. The guy came from Cleveland, and Cleveland knows how to make pitchers.
Yeah.
Cleveland knows how to make pitchers. They've been doing it for years, and I'll even go deeper on that. Someone who I played with in high school actually got drafted by the Indians, and I ran into him recently. And he grew up a Yankee fan. And he had the chance to get drafted by the Yankees, and like his agent talked to him or whatever. And his agent told him, he said, it's all about what you want. He said, if you want to get in the Yankees, I can call the Yankees, but you're going to get traded because the Yankees draft good pitchers to trade you. He said, if you want to actually become a better pitcher, go to Cleveland. One day the Yankees might grab you. He said, if you want to get better, go to Cleveland. If you want to get traded, go, then agree in New York. He's like, well, I want to get better. So now he's in the Indians organization. I haven't talked to him in the past like 2-3 years though. But that was the conversation I had with him last time I saw him. But I just think that was so interesting. That was so interesting that he said that. And the proof is really in the pudding because Cleveland pumps out pitchers and it makes perfect sense. Matt Blake, being a Cleveland guy, comes over here and it's working wonders. And it's crazy.
Yeah, I think the one Cleveland, the one Cleveland pitcher that is really starting to kind of show his bright side is McKenzie.
Yeah.
I mean, he was able to shut us down, and not that our offense was lighting it up, and then they just, he just shut the switch. But Tristan was pitching very well, and he's been starting to get more confident in his stuff.
Yeah.
So he's going to be somebody I think next year that's going to be a very formidable pitcher in the American League.
Yeah.
So he's definitely a pitcher to keep an eye on.
And then, like we said, like that's nothing new for Cleveland.
No,
we've come to know that the Indians are pushing out really good. I'm sorry, I've been saying Indians this whole time.
I still do that too. It's why I try to I'll just say the city because I can't get used to the saying Guardians.
I don't think everyone. I think it's hilarious. A quick side note: I think everyone got used to Washington football team relatively quick. No, and announcers and everybody has just given up on the name Guardians.
Yeah,
it's like the Chargers. Everyone's still saying San Diego, and everyone's still saying Indians. I think this is just what we got moving forward. But anyway, yeah, and like I said, that's nothing new for them because they pushed out Mike Clevenger, which is great. Did Kluber start his career with Cleveland?
I was actually, while you were talking, I was trying to go through my memory bank, which most of our audience knows isn't my strength. I think he was originally in Cleveland. I would say yes, that's where he started.
Yeah, because his height of his career was in Cleveland. Trevor Bauer, while we know he's a jerk, he succeeded quite well in Cleveland when he was there. Even I'm not commenting on any of his personal stuff, but I'm just pointing out good pitches that they've put together. So it makes sense. Like, hey, if we're gonna pick someone to run our pitching staff, let's pick someone who's involved in the machine that pumps out consistently good pitchers, and that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So we also have the game. We have another game with the Red Sox tonight. It's a 4-game set, and with Cortez on the mound. Are you expecting? We all know I'm not expecting Rizzo in the lineup. Do you think that tonight that they put Judge back in the lineup, maybe as a DH?
I think so. I think he'll play the field. I honestly think he'll play the field. And I have nothing to support that, but just my gut feeling.
Yeah, no,
I think Yeah, I think we all kind of panic these days when someone just sits for a day and it's no big deal. It's giving a rest, because I think we all have some sort of PTSD from 2019, when every time that happened, it turned out to be a cataclysmic disaster.
Yeah,
And you can't get mad at Aaron Boone for just saying, it's not that bad. It's like, what the heck else is this guy going to say? Like, I don't know. So I think we all have to calm down a little bit. But if he's not in the lineup for the second night against the Red Sox, then I'm going to start getting scared. Because if it really was a no big deal one day kind of thing, it wouldn't be for 2 days against the Red Sox of all people.
No, and I think that was what really made it a little extra alarming was, here it is. We haven't faced Boston since the opening week. And here we are, we're in Fenway. We have a chance to really put this division, race completely behind us. And, our hottest hitter is on the bench. So if he's on the bench tonight, I'll be with you where it's like, all right, what are you not telling us? Because like you were saying in 2019, it was, all right, I'm just going to give him a rest day. And then he's on the IL for 2 months. So, it was, they weren't giving us any faith that, rest days were just legitimate rest days. Like they were trying to hide problems because they didn't want to make anybody panic.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Judge has to be in the lineup tonight. I think that's a given.
So I think there's two possibilities to Judge sitting last night, and I almost want to be a fly on the walls, like in the Yankee clubhouse, to kind of figure out what it is. Is Judge sitting mean that whatever it was that serious yesterday, or is that how not threatened they are by the Red Sox, where they're like, we can just give them the off day here because we know we are so non-threatened by the Red Sox? Either one of those, I think those are both powerful statements right there. If Judge just being, it's just precautionary, probably could have played through it maybe. Well, then why didn't you? Like, do they actually think that low of the Red Sox is a threat against them, where they feel like they can bench him just to rest him, like it was a random game against like the Mariners or something?
No, I just think it shows the value of Judge to this organization. And if he was feeling, he had a little body soreness, all right, give him a day. It was more of along the line that, all right, how sore is he? They did say they did not hide the fact from the start that he would have been available off the bench.
Yeah.
So it's not that he was, getting a complete off day, so they would have used him if they had to.
Yeah.
So I think being that the fact that the bullpen was able to shut their offense down, even though it was only a 1-run game, it actually felt like a bigger margin.
Yeah.
With the way that, Wandy, King, and Holmes were going. So the 1 run, you felt very secure with it. Not that we thought it was a lock. It wasn't Mariano out there, but it's getting as close to that as we've had since he retired. With the way this bullpen is,
and then those last few innings, they went by quickly.
Yeah.
Well, what Wandy came in? Wandy came in the 7, so it was 7, 8, and 9. It was Wandy.
Very stress-free innings.
Yeah, and it went quick. All of it went quick because I'm sitting there and I'm waiting for the inevitable 1st and 3rd with 1 out.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for 2 guys on, and then everyone's like sitting here. Everyone's kind of like wetting their pants a little bit, like, "Oh my God, we're doing this again. It can never be easy." No, it was easy. It was easy, and I think that's important. They just went through those innings quick.
No, and with Judge, one last thing on that. I want to keep beating into the ground. Plus, we're running out of time. You need him as healthy as you can. I'd rather give him an off day in the first game of this series than in a series that might make a difference in September.
Yeah.
And where now you're trying to push it because you want to beat him so bad that you overexhaust him, and now you're without him for a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think let him get the day's rest. It ain't gonna hurt anybody. But that is gonna wrap things up for us today. And you have been watching us live on Facebook, on Northeast Streaming Sports, and on our YouTube channel at Pinstripe Chronicles. Scott, thank you for coming on today and co-hosting with me. It was a pleasure chatting with you again.
Thank you for having me. It's always a privilege to be asked to come on here by you. Yeah, So thank you so much.
All right. So wear your pinstripes with pride. Play hard.